And we shall pick up the next one. And this comes as Rudro Bahushira Babrur Vishvayoni Shuchishravaha Amrita Shashvatasthánur Vararoho Mahatapaha. Shashvatasthānu, one who is eternal and stable. The Lord created this world single-handed. He also governs the world single-handed. All rules and regulations governing its administrations are wired directly into its functioning. The stars, the air, the environment, the oceans, the earth, the plant life, the animal kingdom, all follow his ordinances automatically. Vararoho, one attaining whom is the greatest good fortune. Traveling in a sacred path is Vararoha. The goal of every devotee is to attain the Lord, which is liberation. Attaining Lord Vishnu is the greatest fortune, since there is no more returning back to worldly life and its sorrows once a person attains the Lord. Mahatapa, one who has total and adorable knowledge of his creation. Lord is Mahajnani or Mahatapas. If Supreme Being were not to have total understanding of his wonderful universe, its creation could not have been possible. The Aishwarya and valor of the Lord are beyond comparison. Besides, his tapas or penance is replete with total knowledge and awareness. Let's attempt to study Mahatapa a little deeply today for our study. So Mahatapa, or one who has total and adorable knowledge of his creation. Friends, this is a wonderful name, and this stitches very well into our previous study where we understood the name Vishvayoni, or the source or the birthplace of the universe. So, to understand the name Mahatapa for today, we have to derive from that previous study and start there where we left. We start by asking the question, what happened after the universe came forth from the Lord? So let us play out the universe unfold once it took birth from the Lord. I borrow the illustration from the Srimad Bhagavatam. But before we venture into that illustration, some critique that such stories have received. Some of the Western academicians have written off the story narrations in our Hindu or Sanatana system as mythical. However, some Westerners, like Zimmerman, have understood the symbolism used by the teachers and the sages of those times to represent their observations. While the story here of the creation of the universe is mythical in its narration, we have also seen such same language used by mathematicians like Carl Schwarzschild in our earlier study that endorses mathematical models to this symbolic language that is used here in the mythical story of our culture, as enumerated by the teachers and sages of those times. So, the illustration of the creation of the universe pans out like so. And of course, I derive this from Srimad Bhagavatam. Lord Vishnu is resting on the serpent Adisesha. That infinite consciousness of Lord Vishnu is resting absolutely calm and quiet in his Yoga Nidra. And when the time for creation comes, a lotus comes out of his navel, and on that lotus appears Brahma. Friends, sometimes in the course of our life, we face the question of, why am I here? What is my purpose? Now, Brahma too, with his coming, is faced with that very same question. What am I to do? He looks around and finds nothing there. Absolute emptiness. So he takes the celestial lift, if you will, and he goes through the lotus stalk into Vishnu himself. There he understands, yes, I must have some work to do. The Lord is omniscient. Then he comes out and hears the echoing sound of the word. Tapa, 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 tapa. Do tapas. So Brahma undertakes this intense tapas. Through that tapas, he understands the entire world of knowledge, every law, every theory, everything connected with the universe to come. He knew it all through that tapas. So Brahma is called the Vedamurti, the embodiment of Veda. Veda means knowledge. Knowledge inclusive of the science of the physical nature and the science of the human possibilities, which is nothing but spiritual knowledge. Friends, when we too are given a job, we say, let me think about this. This thinking is contemplation. And a very deep contemplation is what the Indian Vedic system called the tapas. So tapas, or meditative contemplation, is working the mind to a higher level. Tapas is a meditative contemplation that is working the mind to a higher level. So the mind has two states, the scatter state, which is normal state, and a gather state that has to be consciously worked upon to bring it there. When we go into this meditation state, we withdraw. No, we do not withdraw into nothingness, but to an infinite dimension of divinity within. There, the mind energies are disciplined to rise to a higher level. So Brahma, the cosmic mind, goes into this contemplation or tapa and further produces the creation that science continues to expound on today. So to create anything purposeful, a great amount of tapas or penance is required. A very good example to illustrate this is, say, there is a river that is freely flowing. Now, to make any good of that flowing water, one has to put a dam, develop a water body, and from there harness electricity and flourish the water channels for agriculture to grow crops. So with this holding back of a flowing water, so much more was possible. So you were able to do much without doing much. Friends, for any big task to be accomplished, like Brahma doing his tapas, we too need a lot of thinking and contemplation. A degree of deep thinking should be done before venturing into anything. We need to bring the scattered state of mind to a gathered state of mind to accomplish anything worthful. We do this by drawing the mind into an infinite source, which is pure, free. With the mind charged from this dynamic spiritual source, we will be able to bring such similar broad capacities to the creative task on hand. The mind develops a will founded on a unique spiritual strength, a strength of will, a strength of clarity of thinking. This infuses precision in our work, in our speech, and in our actions. All this emanating from a source of integrity, a voice of guaranteed success. Friends, we have to develop this in ourselves and also in our young minds. Such is the benefit of tapas, or deep contemplation. Now, with this intense tapas, Brahma brought forth the universe. Now imagine what tapas from there should the person who created Brahma must have performed. That consciousness that creates thousands of Brahma, he should be contemplating even more, a bigger tapas. So therefore is the name Mahatapa. In conclusion, friends, I want to leave us with two stories. A person was asked to make an executive presentation. He defended his presentation saying, "If I were given more time, I would have made this concise." How very true. Very sharp minds think of that. If I had more time, I would have worked to bring clarity to our collective thinking, is what this person says. In contrary, when you turn to television, we see how today we are filled with information but completely lacking insights. So distillation of information is very essential to grow ourselves in personality and also others around us. The second story is to illustrate that with tapas comes precision. With tapas comes precision. Much can be done without doing much. This is a conversation between two brilliant minds, Einstein and Charlie Chaplin. Each are in appreciation of the body of work they are producing. Their conversation goes something like this. Einstein: "What I most admire about your art is its universality. You don't say a word, yet the world understands you." Chaplin, in responding with a smile: "True, but your fame is even greater. The world admires you even though they don't understand you." Very witty there. So you can see here that you can do much without doing much. So in summary, friends, we took deeper appreciation of the name Mahatapa to understand that we derived upon the tapas that Brahma took to formulate the universe. We appreciated the need for tapas, where we discipline the mind from a scattered state to a gathered state, where the contemplation is done in the context of a substrate of infinite divinity, in order to rise the mind to a higher level of possibilities. Many of you here would have observed that the spotlight here too was on the previous name that we took today, Shashvatasthanu, the unchanging self among all changes. Imagine for a moment that you are in the middle of flooding waters. You will need a place to stand upon in the midst of that flooding water all around you. Only then can you feel protected from the floods all around. So too is any creative venture. We need a substrate to stand upon for the creative work to be taken. We understood how, like a dam on a river that delivers a range of benefits, similarly, a conscious withdrawing of the mind to a source of divine infinity can infuse spirits of that substrate of infinity, of that freedom, and of that purity to the creative process and its outcome. Finally, we cherished the moments between Einstein and Charlie Chaplin to appreciate that much can be done without doing much. So, friends, Mahatapa we realize as the one who performs deep contemplation when putting forth the creative process of the universe. A tapas that has a lot of precision and purpose. Such, of course, is endorsed by genius scientist and physicist Paul Dirac as so, where he says, God has created this universe with such mathematical precision that you move a flower here, a star moves there, and you move a star there, a flower moves here. With that learning, let us go into our mini or nano tapas of meditation to feel that Mahatapa who is around us and within us. Let us attempt to get in touch with our inner divinity, the source of infinite energy, and absolute freedom and fearlessness. Let's go into our meditation.